the worldwide women's march, women's movement that's happening, we're going to sing I Can't Keep Quiet. We're not going to keep quiet anymore, and this is the symbol that everybody wears here. Okay. I can't keep quiet. I can't keep quiet. No, no, no. I can't keep quiet. No. I can't keep quiet. No. A one-woman riot. No. I can't keep quiet. No. I can't keep quiet. No. I can't keep quiet. No. I can't keep quiet for anyone. No, not anymore. 'Cause no one knows me, no one ever will. If I don't say something, take that dry blue pill. They may see a monster, they may run away, but I have to do this. I can't keep quiet. I'll let it out now. I can't keep quiet. I'll let it out, let it out now. Sing it with us. I can't keep quiet. No, I can't keep quiet. No, we 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 can't keep quiet. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade. You got to wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble. Well, now who those people wear their dressing weird, and God's gonna trouble the water. Must be the children that Moses led, and God's gonna trouble. Come on and wade, wade in the water. Wade, wade now, gotta wade in the water. Oh, wade, wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble. Monkey! It's every now and then God's gonna trouble the water. Children of the Israelites, God's gonna trouble. Come on and wade, wade in the water, wade, wade, wade. You got to wade in the water. Oh, now the children got to wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble. Come on and wade, you got to wade in the water. Mr. Hannah, the keyboard here. Thank you. And high. all my great-grandmothers and the dreams of all my great-grandfathers and the way she was beyond the pain of it, live in me, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, one more time, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the smiles of all my unborn children, and the dreams of a better day to come, and the dance of heaven with the earth, all there in me, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, disgraced, abused and displaced, been robbed and disgraced, abused and displaced, been lied to, but lies can be seen through in the land. You can't fall from grace in the land. You cannot be heard in the land. There's always enough in the land. Always the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am, go, in the land of I am, all that I have been, I am, all that I will be, I am, all that I am. Thank you. So please take the hand of the person next to you and join us this beautiful Sunday with Surely the Presence. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Let us pray. Surely the presence of of the Lord is here because each and every one of us, the embodiment of the divine, the manifestation of all that is of God, is here. Each and every one of us is a facet of the I am. And in the land of the I am, as we sung, we are all that we are to be, meant to be, can be, that we are. And today we come together to remember that, to celebrate that, to recognize the fullness of the I am within ourselves and within each other. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen and amen. You may be seated. Good morning. Welcome back from your snow day break last week. Good to see you've all dug out by now. In case we have not met, I am Rev Ogun, senior minister here. Thrilled as always to spend Sunday morning with you. As I said in my prayer, each and every one of us is the embodiment of God, the face of the I am. If you ever really want to see what God truly looks like, you simply recognize the divine in each other. So turn to someone and simply say, God looks good today. And remember to tell yourself that in the bathroom mirror. First thing when you wake up in the morning, when the hair is all tousled, you got the little, sand in the corner of the eyes, the drool's dripping down, no makeup, nothing yet. When you're at your most vulnerable, you are the face of God as well. God also looks good today in the visage of David, who's facilitating with me today. Yes, you. Give him a hand. Thank you, David.
It's been a while since I've been up here. Oh, let's look out and see what we have here. Look at these faces. Thank you for coming. Nice to have you all here. I love it to see you here. Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the River. I am David. It's my privilege to be up here assisting Reverend Ogun. We'd like to welcome our streamers. Say hello, wave, turn around, and give them a big smile. I'd like to welcome everybody who is here for the first time. Do we have anybody here for the very first time? If you would hold your hands up. That's good. We want to give you a flower and a little packet, a welcome packet. And if you take your flower to the bookstore, you get a discount, a 10% discount. And it's quite a bookstore in there. A lot more than books. Just a reminder that you can watch live anytime this service on YouTube and can listen to previous talks on your smartphone. It's a different age than the one I was born into. We would like to welcome anyone we've done that. Okay. Please. Okay. All right. Got to get up to speed here. You'll help me, I know. By the way, I want to say I love this band, and I don't usually tell stories out of school, but I'm going to, because Meg Rain has been a long, long time friend. Can you see the energy? This is a woman that not only writes music and sings her songs from her heart, but there's a lot of things that not everybody knows about. I just want to tell you one time when she came up to the bed that my dad, John Davy, was lying in 2 days before his death, and she sang songs for him. That's the Meg that I know, and whose spirit you see here every Sunday. And you pass it on to everybody, Meg. I had to tell you that. We have some, okay. UTR, you know the spirit. UTOR, Unity on the River, is a center of celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. Please hold these truths in your heart as we say together our mission statement. We are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And our vision statement, centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. I have a few brief announcements. Paul Hasselbeck is coming back in February, which is right around the corner. He's offering a 3-day, 12 Powers workshop beginning Friday, February 8th, and he will be our guest speaker on Sunday, February 10th, and will be offering a Fundamentals of Raising Consciousness workshop. after the Sunday service. Spiritual Resource Center and our website have more information for you. Also, Denise DeSimone will be with us on Sunday, February 3rd as our guest speaker in her talk, Love Thy Neighbor as Thyself. That's what it will be. And offering a workshop after the service titled Transformation Through the Sound of Self-Love. There's more information, and you can register at the Spiritual Resource Center, which is outside in the bookstore. Number 3, Gary Taylor is offering a Stained Glass for Beginners workshop on Saturday, February 2nd at 10 a.m. I love stained glass. A $40 registration fee includes all materials. Please note that a minimum of 3 participants need to be signed up to hold this class. So sign up at the Spiritual Resource Center or on the website. Okay. I think I've done that part of it. How'd I do? All right? All right. You guys are funny. Okay, so this is the time we greet each other in peace and say namaste, which means the Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. So get to know your neighbor you're sitting with.
Today is we're going to spend a little time doing something that I love to do right now, which is welcome new members into our community. I see 4 people. There should be 5. Who's Tracy? Is Tracy here? Tracy. Oh, come on up, Tracy. You are welcome. All right. So, membership is an interesting facet of attending Unity here. Our doors are open to all come, all celebrate, all sing, all serve. And then there are some folks who want to, as Emerald Lagasse used to say back in the day, kick it up a notch. And they become members. And we have certain criteria because we ask our members to make a commitment. Part of that commitment is a deeper understanding of unity teachings, of abundance and prosperity teachings, and a willingness to serve. And these folks have all taken classes to reflect that. And they've all agreed to this pledge. And I want to read just a few aspects of this membership covenant, a promise. And what's fascinating about it is I've simply been here 4 years. Of the 20-some years, almost 25 years of this community's history. I've only been here the last 4. And what I've readily noticed is often the people who step up to become members are already people who for years have been doing the stuff this covenant is saying when you become a member, you will do. They've already been doing it. We've got folks who are recent to this community since I've been here, so they've been here less than 4 years, and we have some people who've been here for decades almost, and are finally making that step to say, you know what, I do want to kick it up a notch now. So one of the things that this covenant, that these folks are, again, already doing, but we ask them to step further into doing, is to be committed to learning more about God themselves and unity teachings, to be aligned with those teachings. And when we say aligned, we simply mean living out our 5th unity principle. It's not enough to know them, we have to live them, we have to practice them. There's a commitment to be engaged with themselves, with all of you, with the spiritual community, and to serve. to serve with their time, with their talents, given to this community, financially given of service. And I'm looking at the stage, and I can pretty much say each and every one of these people have been serving in some way in this community already. So this covenant is simply, check all the boxes. But here's the part I liked about this covenant that I've not seen at any churches I've been to other than this one. The very last paragraph is what I can expect, which is cool because if you're signing like a document or a contract, it's usually here's what I'll do and here's what you'll do and here's what I'll get. So here's what they can expect to receive by becoming members of this community. As a result of joining this community, you can expect to receive an abundance of love, friendship, empowerment, spiritual, and educational support. I will expect to grow and become more fulfilled and prosperous. I expect to grow in my understanding that I am a precious child of God, loved and accepted for who I am, and supported in my journey by this center. So I'd like to say here as minister, and our board president Tina is here to help affirm that, and everyone here as well, that we support you in your journey. And we are better off, not simply because you are here, but you have chosen to kick it up a notch, that you've chosen to become members, that what you are saying is, this is my spiritual home, I love being here, I love serving, and I want to give even more of myself. And for me, this is the true spiritual journey. This is the true miracle. I've come to know each of you in different ways, and I am richer for it. And I am so grateful that you are here with us. So, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I am thrilled to welcome official members to this community. Brad, Barbara, Jane, Colleen, and Tracy. Give them a hand. Ooh, can you give them one of these as well? One of the things they get a certificate of membership. We have a nice little unity pin for them, but we also have this white rose, and the white rose is symbolic of a few things. White is a color that symbolizes purity and light, and this is the essence of their divine self that they're bringing. The rose also has thorns, because as any of you in here know, and I'm sure they have experienced, growing and evolving in your spiritual nature sometimes is a bumpy road. Sometimes we lay hold of new teachings and we implement them in our lives, and then our lives give us a little pushback. But when we persevere with the support of our spiritual community, we come out at the end of it triumphant and transformed. And the other thing you will notice about these roses is that they're not all fully opened yet. This represents that we are always evolving. We're always opening up to more of who we are as divine beings. And I'm honored to serve as a minister in this safe space that you guys can do that, however that looks. So I want to invite you to stand, and we're going to give them a unity blessing. And some of you are familiar with this blessing. The words are, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ as you. So I simply invite you to raise your hands, and with the intention of radiating energy from your heart. Again, the words are, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ as you. Together. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ as you. Welcome. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, smooth transition to talk. Hi. So today I am thrilled to wrap up my third part of the 12 Power Series. I was given 2 weeks ago. We started here. Last week I live streamed from my home office because we had the snow day. And I didn't want to get behind on delivering this to you. I wanted to make sure that we stayed on schedule. Part of that is because on Thursday, I'll be going on vacation. I'll be heading back home. You may not know this, but I am from Barbados. And right about this time of year, beach sounds really good. Really good. All right, we're good with the background playing. Thank you. Thank you. I'm heading home. The first week, I'll be gone for 3 weeks. The first week I'm there, if you were part of the auction and gala, the fundraiser auction and gala, you know, every year we auction off the opportunity to come spend a week with me in Barbados. So I have some congregants coming down who will do that, because apparently I am not the only one who likes to go somewhere warm during winter. So they'll be doing that. Then I'm doing 2 weeks of vacation. Then I'm back for a week. And then, I know this sounds weird, but then I'm going on a cruise. Now, the cruise is not vacation. The cruise is not vacation. Some people, man, some people. The cruise is not vacation. It's actually a Unity cruise, and I was invited to be one of the keynote presenters. And thank you. And some of our congregants are going. In fact, if you still want to consider going on this cruise, there might be still time for you to register. It's a 10-day, I think, Caribbean cruise where the keynote speakers are all Unity ministers and authors like myself. And we'll be doing workshops. We'll be stopping at certain ports of call and doing service work. But yes, there will also be beach time and sun time and all that fun stuff. Spiritual evolution is hard work, but that doesn't mean it always has to be hard work. It can be fun too. So I'll be gone for a bunch of Sundays. So when you don't see me, don't panic. Don't go like, he's never coming back. What happened? What did we do? Where is he going? Oh my God, is he trying to go get another job at another church somewhere? You know, in the absence of information, our minds start to go a little haywire. Remember the power of imagination I talked about? Yeah, sometimes we let that go a little haywire. So just giving you all the information about that. So that's why I wanted to stay on schedule and finish up the series about our 12 powers. Just in case this is the first time you're hearing about this is the first talk of the 3 that you're hearing about the 12 powers. Let me bring you up to speed really, really quickly and remind you that the 12 powers, these are 12 innate divine abilities that we have. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, came up with this idea as a sort of a practical how to allow our divine self to unfold and evolve. We talk a lot about it, but often we're stuck in well, how do I make that happen? And the 12 powers is one of the ways that we can do that. I told you before, these powers are what we call neutral, as in they're innate to us. It's up to us how we use them. We can use them from our human consciousness, is often based on our sensory input or history and erroneous beliefs, or we can use them from our divine nature. And when we use them from our divine nature, it enables us in the midst of every single situation to be the best embodiment of God that we can be. You remember, you hear me say it a lot, and I will continue saying it a lot. Everything that happens in our life is an opportunity for us to do what? Yeah, something like that. Show up as God. Every opportunity, everything that happens in our life is an opportunity for us to do what? Show up as God. God's not showing up any other way. It's us. That's kind of like the good news and the bad news of this teaching. It's us. Okay? So when we're in the midst of challenging situations, we don't need to look anywhere else but deep within to find out where the presence of God is in this situation. Again, it's us. Turn to someone and say, it's me. It's really fun to see your faces as you do this. Because some of you are like, it's me. And some of you are like, it's me. Own it. Own it. Okay? Own it. Own it. It's you. It's you. This is how God shows up. It's you. It's each and every one of us. And the 12 powers, again, one of the ways that we can break that down in a better way to kind of understand that. So, let's continue. So far, we've covered understanding, love, wisdom, power, imagination, faith, will, and order. Today, we're going to start with zeal. Zeal. This is the power to be enthusiastic, passionate, inspire, and motivate. Every time you see Meg singing and Lisa playing the thing, playing the harp, that's zeal. This is the faces of zeal right here. Enthusiasm to inspire. Now, here's the thing again about each of these powers. We can use them from our limited human consciousness. And when we do that, we end up on a spectrum. Sometimes we have too little zeal. We become unmotivated. We become a little listless. We have trouble starting things. But then we can also go to the other extreme and have too much, and then we become impulsive and compulsive and a little bit pushy, a little bit like it's got to be done this way. And sometimes we come across as a little insecure. We're not sure about it, but you know what? We're going to make it happen. Sometimes that's what happens when there's too much zeal in our life. But when we come from our divine consciousness, when we come from our God center, zeal shows up as this passionate vibrancy that we can apply to everything we're doing in every situation in our life that conveys the authentic image of God that we are. It is what allows us in the most difficult situations not to fizzle, but to sizzle. We're not going to fizzle, we're going to sizzle. I'm not going to fizzle, I'm going to sizzle. Turn to someone and say that. I'm not going to fizzle, I'm going to sizzle. Exactly. This is a great power to remember in the dead of winter when it's like 20 degrees out and we're all shivering. We're not going to fizzle, we're going to sizzle. Now, here's the good thing. Here's the thing about zeal. Okay, here's the thing about zeal and about these powers in general. We sometimes got to pair them and match them up. So, again, with zeal, we can go a little bit overboard and become impulsive. And every remotely good idea that crosses our path, we're like, yeah, I'm on that. Right? Anybody else got that? Right. So, this is where we temper zeal a little bit. We calm it down, or rather, we discern the best application with another power, which is wisdom. We talked about wisdom before, right? The power of wisdom. So zeal got to work hand in hand with wisdom. Otherwise, we are just going to hop on every bandwagon and wear ourselves out and find ourselves in a situation when we're doing things that are not ours to do, even if they're great ideas, even if they're good things. Everything is not ours to do. Okay, we got to get clear, and when we get clear, then we use zeal to jumpstart us into being there. Now, once we jumpstart into being there, we got to sustain ourselves with the long haul. Some of us, me, none of y'all, it's just me. I am a great ideas guy. I'm an ideas guy. I got great ideas. I'll get you started, but you might not see me at the end. This is the thing I'm working on because I love the newness of ideas. And I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. Here's what y'all should do, right? Or here's what we should do. Or we're going great. All right, I'm on to the next thing, okay? Sometimes we need the next power, which is life. The power of life is the thing that maintains our vitality. It sustains our energy. It enlivens us. It's what allows us to see things through to the end. How many of y'all love rocket ships? Like, space shuttle, rockets, all that. So if you look at a rocket ship, it's usually this massive thing, right, sitting on the launch pad. But by the time you get to space, there's only like this much of it left, right? It starts off and then there's this much, and you're like, where did it go? Like 90% of a rocket's fuel is spent in that first stage, getting off the ground, resisting the power of gravity to get up. That's zeal. Life are the other second and third stages that pushes it through the atmosphere and gets it out into space, into orbit, where it's meant to do the thing it was built for. The rocket wasn't just meant to take off, it was meant to get something up into space, right? So this is how zeal and life work together. Zeal is what gets us off the launch pad like a rocket ship. But life, these are the subsequent stages that get us out past the atmosphere, out into orbit, to keep us going into whatever we were meant to do. They work in conjunction with each other. Here's the other thing about life. It enlivens us. It motivates us a little bit like zeal as well. So for example, when we feel like an illness coming on or something, we can do what our co-founder Myrtle Fillmore, Charles and Myrtle, what Myrtle did when she found out she had tuberculosis was she spoke life to every cell of her body and turned that around. She spoke to her body. She spoke life into it and came to a place of wholeness. And sometimes we read that story and we go, oh, she cured herself, therefore I can do that as well. I want to make the distinction between curing, healing, and wholeness. Yes, curing is the eradication of a disease from our body. Sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. There's no right or wrong, or hit or miss. No, I did it right, I didn't do it right, because as you often hear me say, we're all going to die someday. We all are. It's unavoidable. And usually our motivation for curing is connected to our fear of dying. Myrtle Fillmore healed herself of tuberculosis. She's not standing here with us today. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. There's no 2,000-year-old Israelite wandering around the Middle East. Okay, this is our journey. So we often confuse curing with the true idea of healing, which I like to say is making peace with what is. Making peace with what is. And once we heal, we make peace, then we can live this power of life in the form of wholeness. We don't need to be cured to be whole. I got two examples for you. Some of you might have heard of this guy, probably one of the most brilliant lives in our lifetime, Stephen Hawking. Anyone ever heard of him? Yeah, one of the most brilliant minds. I tried to read one of his short books. Oh my God. Like, I'm not that smart. But you know he was confined to a wheelchair because of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, for the vast majority of his life. He was not cured of an illness, but he was whole. Here's another person some of you might not have heard of, Evelyn Glennie. Anyone ever heard of Evelyn Glennie? Yeah, percussionist. Pull that one up just for you, Steve. One of the most world-renowned percussionists. You know what's fabulous about her? She was deaf since she was 12. She's a deaf percussionist. Think about that for a minute. And she's a phenomenal solo percussionist. She's played with, I don't know, every orchestra and ensemble there is on this planet. She's in her 50s now and still getting it done. She wasn't cured, but she was whole. Curing and wholeness are two different things. And when we live that power of life and make peace with what's in our life and in our body and in our health, that's when we become healed. And that's when we move on to live the wholeness that we are meant to live. Regardless of what's going on, remember, everything that happens in our life is an opportunity to do what? Show us God. And Stephen Hawking and Evelyn Glennie, they showed up as God in their respective fields. And it didn't matter what was going on in them and around them. That's the power of life. Part of that whole healing process and activating your power of life is the next power, the power of elimination or release. This is the power to let go, to dismiss, to liberate yourselves from all embedded beliefs. I'm stuck in this wheelchair, therefore I cannot. How about letting go of that belief? Letting go of that belief so that you can be whole, so you can be the fullness of the divine that you were meant to do in whatever it is that you're doing. When people don't have this power really developed in them, these are people who have trouble getting rid of things in their life. People who have cluttered homes, people who are hoarders, people who have basements so full that you can't work out. These are people who have trouble letting go. And we all share that to some extent. I think some of us, most of us, we actually form great emotional bonds with physical objects in our life. Did you know this? We do. And letting go of things is a very emotional for some of us. I'm not saying you can't have things. I'm just saying you don't need all the things. How many are watching on Netflix, Tidying Up with Marie Kondo? Yeah. Like that is just like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, get on Netflix. There's this woman who wrote a book a few years back, Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, and she talked about the blessing of tidying up, eliminating clutter. And she did this Netflix special, and it's been fascinating to watch people respond to this. Lots of people are posting pictures of how their closets looked before and after. And there was one post that kind of got her in trouble that I think pulled a lot of attention, where it was said that she said, you know, try to have just like 30 books in your home. And people were like, you mean like on the nightstand, right? Just. Or a lot of clergy people were responding like, you mean 30 books per category and subject matter, right? Now, it turns out she didn't really say this. What she said and what she wrote in her book was, when I truly embraced this uncluttering and letting go, I got to a place in my life where I only had about 30 books on my shelf. That's what she said. She wasn't telling us to do it. What she said was, as you're going through things in your home, you know, if you hold this thing close to your heart, it doesn't spark joy within you, maybe you need to let it go. She said, but if your books spark joy and life and vitality in you, keep your books. You know, she kind of had to clear it up because all the bookworms came out. You know, all the introverts in the back of the library, they came out for her. And she's like, that's not quite what I said. But we have to let go. And this is instrumental in our spiritual growth and development. Most of you are here right now because you let go of some old beliefs you had around God, around what it means to be the embodiment of the divine. You're here because you examine what we call in the theological circles your embedded theology. Okay, theology simply means your study and belief about God. And the embedded theology are those first thoughts and beliefs that you had around God, usually developed as a child. Usually those beliefs were about an anthropomorphic God, a God who was a person, who lived in heaven, who, you know, kind of like Santa Claus, was always watching. And if you were good, rewarded you, and if you weren't good, punished you. And, you know, that was our embedded belief. And then we did what we call deliberative theology. At one point, we go, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. That's not working for me in my life. That belief has failed me. And for a lot of us, we come to this point when there's been trauma in our lives. And the church has failed us, or that belief around God has failed us. It didn't close any loopholes for us. So we move on, and we find something like unity's belief. But, as you've heard me say before, even when we come to unity, we still have that embedded thing. It's embedded. It's not going anywhere. We have to be very mindful of when it shows up. Like when we refer to God as He, or even she. I'm not saying they're not masculine and feminine aspects of the divine, but when we start talking about God and to God and saying God is He or God is she, we've just personalized God. Again, God is not a person. And I know for many of us, we're still struggling with that because that's the first idea of God that we had, that God was a person. We don't do what Genesis said. In the beginning, Genesis, it says, we were created in the image and likeness of God. The fullness of God is who we are. No, we reverse engineer that. We created God in our image. We created a God that was fickle and emotional. We created a God that wanted to plan or dictate our lives. Remember a few powers back, we talked about order and we talked about predestination, that we think God has a plan for our life. No, God doesn't have anything. God is everything. We are in God and God is in us. So God's not scripting a plan for our life. The only divine plan that there is that we show up as God. Thank you. Somebody's listening. We show up as God, that's it. And even using the words divine plan are a little weird because we can't not show up as God because these powers are innate to us. So every time we're using them, whether we create good or we create evil, that's divine powers at work. But we got to be conscious of how we do it. And when we do it from our innate divinity, mindful that we are the embodiment of the divine, then we do it from love. We do it from compassion. We do it from wholeness and kindness. We do it from inclusion. That's where we do it from. So we got to remember that this is, so we got to keep letting go. We got to keep shedding. We got to keep shedding. Every time, and this is kind of how I got to this place. I was very mindful of every time I use God in the third person. Okay? Every time I use God in the person, it's third person, especially if I was the only one in the room. There's a lot of here. I'm talking about God, so I'm kind of referring to God in the third person. But if I am the only one in the room, and I'm saying, you know, where's God in this? Or God should, or, you know, when I start referring to God in the third person, I'm the only one in the room, I've gone back to my embedded idea and forgotten that who is God? I am the embodiment of the divine. There's no why did God let this happen? There's who am I to be now that this has happened? There's no why did God let this happen? There's who am I to be now that this has happened? How am I to show up as God now that this has happened? Don't ever ask that why question. That will drive you crazy. Who am I to be as the embodiment of the divine now that this has happened? And when we can answer that question, and zeal allows us to get off the launch pad, and life sustain us, we wrap it all up with the final power, strength. Strength, sort of like life, is what allows us to endure. It allows us to stay the course. And it allows us to be resilient. And resilience is that idea that, again, no matter what is going on around us, no matter what others are saying, no matter what the embedded thoughts and beliefs are saying to us, we know what is ours to do, and we stay on it. We don't allow ourselves to feel fear and shame. Let me rewind that. We don't allow the feelings of fear and shame, which may come up because we're human, to dictate what we do, to take the wheel. Remember that old saying, Jesus, take the wheel? Yeah. When we say that, we could be saying that one or two ways. Yeah, there's the outside God, the outside embodiment of Jesus who is in control, or Jesus take the wheel as in, you know what, I'm going to let the divine ideas that flow from, through, and as me, as the face of divine, I'm going to let them take charge. When the fear comes up, I'm going to say, hey, fear, thank you for wanting to keep me safe and protected, but you know what? I'm going with the divine idea. When the shame comes up, hey, shame, thank you for reminding me that I used to believe these negative things about myself, but I don't anymore. I'm cool, I'm good, I'm going on. Don't struggle with yourself. Thank yourself and move on. This is what it means to live as a divine being. This is what it means to be the embodiment of God. This is what it means to step into these 12 powers, transform yourself, transform the world. Because everything that happens in our life is an opportunity for us to... Thank you for taking notes. Let's take this into some meditation. So if you're comfortable, I invite you. Take a deep breath, plant both feet on the floor, get the things off your laps, just let your hands fall on the laps. That was a lot to take in just now. But don't worry, as you need to remember it, it'll come to you. So for a moment, just become fully present to yourself. And the easiest way to do that is to use the breath. So simply breathe, no faster, no slower than you normally would. And allow your attention, your focus, to follow the breath. Follow the breath. If thoughts arise to distract you, again, simply notice them. Thank the brain for doing what it does is to remember, and simply return the attention back to the breath. And as you breathe, imagine yourself sinking into your heart space. Just as your body becomes more relaxed as it sinks into the chair and the shoulders fall, the face softens. Imagine your inner self sinking back further into your heart space, into the silence. Allow yourself to sink into the true knowing that at your essence is God, the fullness of all that is. That your truth is not fear or shame or grief. Your truth is divinity. Sink into the truth that no matter what's happening in your life, your truth is divinity. Your truth is understanding, love, wisdom, power, imagination, faith, will, order, zeal, life, elimination, strength. Each and every one of us, at the core, the true authenticity of who we are is the embodiment of the divine. Let us remember this. Let us live this. I am the embodiment of the divine. I am the embodiment of the divine. Let us affirm this to ourselves for a few moments in the silence. I am the embodiment of the divine. I am the embodiment of the divine. Let us hold this truth for ourselves and for the names in our prayer box. As it comes forward, let us focus our attention on these names, these situations. We do not know them, but we know the truth of them. Concerns of loved ones. And we envision for them God being made real as them. And should you hold that intention for anyone else, I invite you to say their names out loud now. In so doing, we recognize that we, each and every one of us, is the presence and the embodiment of the divine in their life as well. And we ask what is ours to do so that we also may show up as God. And so it is. Amen.
In the silence I shall go. In the stillness there's a knowing. In the presence of divine love, I am loved. I am loved. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah. In the silence I shall go. In the stillness there's a knowing. In the presence of divine love, I am loved. I am loved. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah. In the silence I shall go. In the stillness there's a knowing. In the presence of divine love, I am loved. I am loved. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah.
Thank you, Lisa Plumley. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ogun, for your talk. Thank you, Lisa. Band, wonderful. Choir. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the people who, part of our pastoral care ministry, they are the chaplains that have the shawls around. If you would stand, if you are able. Another little story. I came to church some months ago and had a decision that I didn't know what to do. I said, I'm going to try this for the chaplain. And they didn't have an answer for me, and I wasn't asking for an answer, but the being in that peace of that environment of prayer with someone who was absolutely listening to me triggered my own intuition for what I needed to do. And what I found out that what I needed to do was nothing. I thought I had to do something. That's the beauty of prayer. We also have a home and hospital ministry, prayer chaplains that will visit people at home or if they're in the hospital. Christine, are you here? Do I have it wrong? Yes. And Annie Houghton is Annie, you're here. Yeah. I made a decision in my life. I am going to be working with Annie and be a part of that. I want to give back. That's my own commitment. Really, it's the spirit of what's here. It's larger than me. Remember, you can submit your prayer request to the prayer box, which is located in the back at any time. We have a dedicated phone line here at Unity as well that takes prayer requests, and our prayer team and Silent Unity will pray over your request. We'd like to also, at this time, recognize your tithes and your offerings and receive them in the spirit of love. And we have our prayer that we say together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you, David. While you get your offerings ready and the ushers come to collect them, a couple of announcements, more announcements. We are having our annual meeting today. Every year around this time, the annual meeting is where we elect some new board members and we give you guys an update on the past year and what we're planning moving forward. One of the big discussions we're going to have today at the annual meeting, as we told you before, we are in a financial bind and have been for the last few months, mainly because of our rental properties. We have some numbers for you in terms of the properties, and we're going to start the conversation about what is ours to do around owning all this property. So that conversation begins at our annual meeting today. Everyone is welcome. You do not have to be a member, an official member, to attend the annual meeting. So after service, head out to hospitality, and at 11:45, we begin our annual meeting. On your way in, there's going to be a check-in table, and the check-in table, you'll get a packet of information, all the stuff we're going to talk about today, so you can take home and review it. And it's also a chance for us to update your information. So like for some of you, we got like 4 emails and 3 phone numbers. That's less is more. We need less. So we want you to update that. You may have moved. You want to update your address. So please check in at one of the tables before you come back in. Also, I mentioned I was going to be gone for a few Sundays. We heard the announcement about Reverend Paul Hasselbeck being here. Part of why he's going to be here is to teach a 12 Powers workshop. We mentioned that in the announcements. Please take advantage of the fact that we're bringing in one of Unity's best teachers, okay? Best teachers on metaphysics, on this subject. And I really encourage you, not even if you want to. I don't often tell people what they should do. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, don't shit on yourself. Nobody wants to clean up that mess. But I am encouraging you. I am wanting you. I'm almost at the point of telling you, please sign up for this class. If you are here and you say you want to grow spiritually, allow zeal and life to get you off the couch and get you here, because he's going to take this to a much deeper level than I've been able to in the course of 3 Sundays. He's also doing a workshop on Sunday. If you can't make the whole weekend class, go to the workshop. It's going to be like a continuation, a tail end of the whole workshop. One of the other people that we're bringing in while I'm on vacation or on the crusade in March is Reverend Paulette Pipe. You may not have heard of her, but she is one of my best Unity minister people, okay? She is basically the face of prayer and meditation in Unity. She has been doing a lot of things. One of them, there's a podcast called Touching the Stillness. She is what we call the keeper of the flame on the big Unity movement board. She's a person who centers people in prayer. She's done numerous prayer and meditation workshops, women's retreats. She's going to be here for 2 back-to-back Sundays. She's doing a half-day workshop. If you, in our climate now, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on the news and all that pulls us in different directions. Come to her workshop to get a little mini meditation oasis retreat. She is the embodiment of what I imagine when I think of prayer and meditation. There's some videos we have on our website, or you can look her up yourself, but I want to encourage you to do that. Finally, some of you who've been here from way back when know Morgan and Cynthia Barkley. Cynthia is unfortunately getting close to making her transition. Right now, she is possibly just got a few weeks left. They've invited hospice care in to manage her final days. If those of you who know her, Morgan said, please let people know and invite folks if they want to reach out to her to do that. If you want her, they live in North Carolina. If you want their contact information, please see Nan and Larry. Nan and Larry, just raise your hand or stand. Let folks see you. They really maintain closeness with them, and they can get that information to you. Morgan and Cynthia were instrumental people in this community in the earlier years, and I know there are many of you here who still know them, may still be in connection with them, and still love them. And let's bless our offering. So I invite you to take a deep breath, go to that centered place of gratitude and abundance within your hearts as we give thanks for these gifts. So no matter how you gave, whether it's here today in cash or you wrote a check, whether you donated online from our webpage, whether you have automatic offering coming from your bank account, however you choose to invest in your spiritual community so that we can do what is ours to do and keep this sacred space going. I am grateful for you, grateful for your abundance, grateful for your sharing, and we give thanks, and so it is. Amen. David, more thank yous. Nope, it's you.
No song?
No song. Not right now.
No song.
Not right now.
Not right now.
Not right now. Thanks.
I hear you.
I got you.
We're going to say thank you to all the people that make this happen here on Sunday morning. We have so many people. We'd like to thank specifically our special angels. You are our special angel. This week, Christine, Malik, Ed, Edith, and Jim McQuaid. Soft spoken, but Jim is always there doing stuff for the church. And our volunteer teams, bookstore team, folding team, and maintenance team, and always in the background behind the curtain are the board. They really carry it. Board members, would you stand just so we could recognize you? We'd like to say thank you to those that make the Wednesday night service happen. This week will be Samadhi and meditation service led by the beautiful Meg Rain. And we are not going to let the river flow. Put your voice to this song because Brian doesn't know how to sing. I just want to give you a motivator, Brian.
No, yeah, sure. Thank you. Could I have the M&Ms too I asked for and the rider? Thank you. The blue
Let the
M&Ms.
river flow. You're going to want to stand up for this one.
Let the poor ones say I am rich again. Let the lost ones say I am found again. Let the river flow. Let the blind ones say I can see again. And let the dead ones say I am born again. Let the river flow. the poor ones say I am rich within. Let the lost ones say I am found again. Let the river flow. Let the blind ones say I can see again. And let the dead ones say I am born again. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Oh, let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Let the river flow. And let the river flow. Oh, 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 let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Oh, let the river flow. Let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. And let the river flow. And let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Let the river flow.
I think he can sing.
I think so and us.
Let's remain standing as we welcome in our youth and family ministry. We are walking as the light. Anytime now. Come on, you guys. We can start a cappella. Just give us the beat. Just give us the beat. We'll do a cappella. There we go. Thank you. You may be seated.
I stand in the presence. Namaste. So as you saw, we have a bigger group today, which is always delightful. Oh, thank you. There we go. Yeah, which is always delightful. Today we did what we normally do, which is a lot of socializing, a lot of playing, a lot of art. And then when it came time to the lesson, we were talking about the 12 powers. We started by talking about superheroes and what their powers are, and the powers we already notice we have as people that we don't even think about, and then something special and unique to Unity, the 12 powers. Over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to be doing 12 power posters and that sort of thing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So I invite you to stand, take the hand of your neighbor, affirm the truth for ourselves, these children, that there is peace on earth. It begins with each and every one of us. Let there be peace on earth.
Let
protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed.
Will be the power. The lost ones say I'm found again, and let the river flow. Oh, let the blind ones say I can see again, and let the dead ones say I am born again. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Oh, let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Holy Spirit, come and move in power. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. Oh, let the river flow. Let the river flow.
It's like Tom Brady, you need to push me a little bit.